Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. Oh, mighty Ilus. Got a huge week ahead and we're going to talk about it. Let's get into Ilus. All right, we got a lot to talk about, but I do want to discuss the market for just a minute and talk about penny stocks in general. As you know, penny stocks have really kind of struggled. And fortunately for us, Ilus has kind of bounced back, and I'm going to bring this chart back in later in the show, but it is nice to see that it has rebounded some, but the penny stocks have all been hammered pretty good, with the exception of a few. And Wsft's had a nice little run. We'll talk about it a little bit. But really, the whole market in general had a really bad week this week, and it had a great week the week before, and then a terrible week the week before that. And it all boils down to this. We're pretty much in a recession. That's my opinion based on everything that I see. And I'm out there dealing with the public 3 days a week, 4 days a week sometimes. And up here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where I live, I was able to drive down the main drag yesterday on a Friday, which is normally an incoming day, especially 4th of July weekend. And you normally cannot drive down the parkway and get to your home. I normally take all the back roads, which I know by heart, but I didn't have any trouble. I cannot remember the last time that happened except during the height of the Rona. That's the only time. What it boils down to is people can't afford $5 a gallon in gas. They can't afford to pay 30% more for food, which is what it is. I don't give a crap. They can say 8.6% all they want. When it comes to food and gas, it's about probably 20 to 30% in the food, and we know it's about 100% with energy. Pain. And that's what people are using every single day. And it's wearing them out so they don't have money for vacations. That's why CCL, Carnival Cruise Line, got hammered. That's why Norwegian Cruise Line got hammered. That's why the airlines got hammered, is that they know that disposable income that they would use for vacations, it's not there anymore. You know, when you're spending an extra $100 a week to buy gas, or an extra $200 a week to buy food, there it is. There's your vacations right there. You know, so only the really well-off folks can do that. Well, there's not enough well-off folks for Pigeon Forge to operate at its normal level, so it's just not happening. And penny stocks, of course, have been hit the hardest with inflation because it has to do with the future value of cash. Okay, if you've got a lot of penny stocks that are going to make money in the future, because what's OTC is all about the future, that money they're going to make is worth less because inflation's eaten into it. Because $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. And that's how inflation works. It's a terrible, insidious monster that just eats the economy and it eats into people's wallets, and it's terrible. And until we do something about gas prices, we're going to struggle. And this business of demand destruction, yeah, that'll work. If we keep raising interest rates and we don't have extra drilling going on and more fracking, gas prices will come down because people will have to use less. That's the worst way to handle high inflation, but it's what we got left right now. It's unfortunate given how much oil we have in this country. And you folks know I'm all about EVs. I want everybody to switch to an EV, but we don't have them. They're not available. It's going to take years and years for that to build up to where there's enough of them. And especially at the prices, they can't pay $40, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100,000 for EVs. They need cars that cost 20 and 25. They need good used electric vehicles for 10 or 5, and that's just not available right now unless you want some junker that's only going to get 50 miles to a charge that was built 7 years ago, and the battery's almost lost its life. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now and talk about Ilus. All right, we did hear from Ilus yesterday. It says, with a strong quarter, which would be the second quarter behind us, we are confident that Q3 will bring record revenues and the achievement of our biggest milestones. A Q2 summary with several highlights will be provided next week, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Well, we're waiting.
Along with a new acquisition next week and business update video by JP BACKWELL. So I'm definitely looking forward to all of that. That's going to be great. Now, when it comes to the revenue, we know the revenue has been increasing dramatically, except for this first quarter where we're missing 4 companies. Hopefully in his update, he will discuss how that's being treated and how that's going to play into the revenues for Ilus, because I'm assuming that's going into ERT. So hopefully he discusses that, because the same thing happened with our net income. Our net income was jumping. It's still solid at 20% net income, but like I said, I want an understanding of how that's going to be handled as far as accounting and how that will fall into Ilus's balance sheet or their cash flow. But it'll be very interesting to see that second quarter, because I'm assuming this will go up some. But again, I don't know how those 4 companies are being treated. That's one of my biggest questions. Now, one thing that's very important with Ilus, as you can see right here, there's been no dilution. Everything's fine as far as our outstanding shares. We know they're going to probably have some sort of an offer to a lot of the common shareholders to try to get them to move into preferred to try to lower this number. And also look at the update 7-1. So that was yesterday. I'm very happy about that. I hated it when it always said November like it did a few weeks ago. That really irritated the crap out of me. I like seeing that updated every day. So that's nice. And given the fact that the first quarter came out on the 17th of May, we won't get probably the actual numbers and the actual disclosure for another 45 days, but it sounds like they're going to give us a nice update this week. So that'll probably give us the revenue and the net income or something along those lines that will be real helpful. That's usually what they do. And I'm just double checking to make sure there's nothing that's been downloaded to the Ilus investor data room, and there's not. That last time was on the 16th of May, so there's nothing fresh on that. So like I say, this stock has had a nice little rebound after this unnecessary drop. And as I've told you, this thing gets heavily shorted. Actually, let me take a look at the short volume on this thing. And as you can see here, the last date, it showed 62%. This company is being heavily shorted. I mean, that's ridiculous. 62% is ridiculous. Makes no sense. There's not a ton of volume, and maybe that's why that is. I mean, there was only 3.3 million shares that were traded that day, but I mean, look at the short volume, over 2 million. So like I said, we're not dealing with a whole lot of volume, but still, that's way too much short. That doesn't make any sense. I think the shorts are sort of beating their head against the wall, hoping this thing will go down, and trying to beat it down. It's just not going to happen. It's too good a company. And Wsft has actually gotten up above this resistance, and now it's sitting up at about 45, 46. So it went up about 5% the other day, but look at the nice run that it's had. Now, I'm not chasing this thing, and since I own Ilus, I kind of own Wsft anyway. But I told you how I missed this damn thing. I was in the golf course, and I freaking missed it. And I would have got it at 17 cents. So, I mean, that's a triple. That's a triple. Although I probably would have swing traded it right in here and just doubled my money, and then I'd be pissing and moaning that I didn't keep it. Because that's how I do. And I'm going to be real interested to watch the short volume on Wsft. As you can see, it's hitting up at 65%. So there's a lot of people trying to push this thing down. And that's what's going to happen with this stock quite a bit, because it has run so much. They're going to try to short it down. They may not be successful. It's really hard to say. I'll be looking forward to seeing the July 1st date, because as of right now, the shorts are failing. They're not making any money on these two stocks, which is very frustrating for them. And that's probably why it went up a little bit on Friday, both of them. All right, folks, and that's just an update on Ilus and Wsft. Like I said, we got a huge week coming up. Going to get a ton of information. I really look forward to that video by JP Backwell. I will watch that entire thing. I will summarize it, and I will bring it to you. No worries there. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Ilus and Wsft. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.